Alright, so for our last video, we're going to go over how to make a couple different types of graphs within Tableau. Specifically, we're going to go over making a bullet graph as well as making a combination chart, both of which are, of course, going to be in Tableau. As always, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to import our data set, hit open, and it's going to think a little while. And so you can see here, we've got all of our variables listed, and we're going to hit go to worksheet. So the first one that we're going to do is going to be to create the bullet graph. Now, of course, it's important to always know to kind of choose a data visualization technique based on what you're trying to convey. I found that with this one in particular, because I was trying to make a bullet graph, it required a lot of finagling with my data set. So to make a bullet graph, you're going to need to select two variables, and really what we're trying to convey with this graph is where people are with regards to a certain benchmark. So it's important to not only include whatever your variable is, but you also need to include a variable that references what the benchmark is for that variable. So for this bullet chart, I'm going to use POS, and then I'm also going to include the variable target POS. So whatever the anticipated organizational support level is. So we're going to take those. Ooh, that didn't work. I'll try it again. And then we're going to click on bullet graphs. So you can see here, we'll minimize that. We have POS total. It looks like it's on a super crazy scale because Tableau's default is to sum those variables. So we'll go up here, change that to, actually we're going to change it to average. And then so changing this here, it made this number very small, but our scale is still very large. So we also need to make sure that we change it over here. And it all kind of evens out. So we can see that across all branches of the organization, our average level of POS was 156 on that scale that was being used. Now you can see over here we have this little line. This line is what our benchmark was. So the goal was to have a POS level of 147, and that goal was clearly exceeded. Now if we want to break this out a little bit more, what we can do is we can take one of our categorical variables. So for this video, I'm going to use the variable office. It's a categorical variable with, I believe, 4 levels. So we're going to drop it down here, and you can see that now my bullet graph is broken out by office. So you can see that Austin's average POS score went up to 214, which exceeded the target for that specific branch. Then we have Dallas and Houston here, which also exceeded its branch goal. And then we have Waco down here, which did not exceed its goal. This is where the target was, and this is where the average was. Now, if you look very closely, you can see kind of areas of light and darker shades of gray. What that is Tableau is just denoting where 30% to the goal is, 60% to the goal is, and then where the actual goal is. So this type of graph is really helpful, being able to see both what the anticipated benchmark was and then how close your groups were to actually achieving it, without having to have an unwieldy number of bars in your chart. Now, let's say that we want to make this a little more clear cut in terms of the branches that met their goal versus the branches that didn't. There's a number of ways you can do this. You can do this by going to analysis and then creating a calculated field, and then applying that filter on your sheet. I still haven't mastered how to do that yet, but another thing you can do is you can create a variable within your data set. I named mine goal met, and you drop it down here into color, and you can see based on the legend that the branches that met their goal are in orange, while the branch that did not meet their goal is in blue. So yeah, this is just a quick way to convey a lot of information in a seemingly simple graph. Now, the next graph we're going to do is a combination chart. And really, what we're accomplishing there is you're just, it's essentially, it works like a dashboard. So you can put a number of graphs onto one sheet without having to build it within a dashboard. Given the choice, you might just want to use a dashboard, but if you want to know how to build a combination graph, you can just watch this part of the video. So the variables that I want to use for my combination graph are going to be emotional exhaustion and also POS. So you can see that automatically created two sections of my chart. So I just dropped my variables into the same row. Now, you see here, there on this left-hand side we have a box called marks. And within this marks box, I can choose how I want my graph to be displayed, specifically what type of data visualization tool I want to do. Now, before we do that, I'm going to change this to dimension and change this one to dimension as well. So it just looks like a bunch of crazy lines. But we can click over here on marks and refine what we want that to look like. So we click on the variable that we're interested in. Then we're going to click down here on automatic, and we have all of these different options that we can choose for our variable. So for example, if we were interested in a pie chart, probably not the best way to go for this type of variable. Instead, what we're going to do here is we're going to do a bar chart. Now, it still doesn't look super meaningful, because I forgot to put in what I wanted to do. So you can, obviously you can leave it like this. For this video, I'm going to break it out by office, and I actually want this to be last, like that. So yeah, so you can see that now my variables are broken out by office, and now, let's see, does pie chart mean something? Still looks pretty gross, but yeah. So we'll just move that back to bar, and then we have POS, and let's change that to a line graph. And we can break this out more and get a clearer idea. So with this combination graph, we can get an idea of, one, what does the overall level of, for this variable, emotional exhaustion look like across the various offices. We can see that Houston has a pretty high level, and Dallas and Austin have decent levels, and then we have Waco here, which has probably the lowest level. And when we look at our level of perceived organizational support, we can see that surprisingly it has the lowest level of organizational support. So you can get a sense of what the relationship looks like for two different variables across whatever your factor is. So yeah, we can also parse this out even more. Let's say, for example, I want to see just what POS looks like across genders. I can drop this here, and you can see that it didn't do anything for emotional exhaustion, but it did split out my line graph into POS scores for both men and women across the various offices. I can also drop it down here, and now I have it for my second variable as well. So that's just a quick look into how to make a few more different types of graphs and charts within Tableau.